Michael Lucas, what do you think of destabilize the Middle East the most? Sykes, Pishot, 53 CIA removal of Mossadegh, or the partition of Palestine, thus creating the state of Israel? I'm a big fan. Thank you, Michael, for supporting the show. And a great question. What do I think destabilized the Middle East the most? Boy, I would probably go with the removal of Mossadegh and putting in the Shah of Iran, because if you look at the chain of events that had happened after that, right? So Mossadegh, for those of you who don't know, was the democratically elected leader of Iran and wanted to, this is going to sound familiar, wanted to nationalize the oil, meaning give the profits to the people and give the people better services and everything. And he said, I'm not going to sell it to Great Britain and the U.S. And then that's when we put the CIA, which was fairly new at that point. It used to be OSS. That's what it was in World War II. And then after World War II, it became the CIA. So then we overthrew Mossadegh and put into power the Shah of Iran, who was a brutal dictator, but he would give us his oil and sell it to us. So I think the chain of events there, I mean, and Shah of Iran tortured many people. There was a kid whose parents got tortured, and I forget what his given name was, but he later was known as the Ayatollah Khomeini. So what we did helped create Islamic fundamentalism. Like, because the Shah was propped up by the West and was torturing his own people, that all these things, this horrific chain of events, the Iran hostages, which happened in 79, which was awful. Then Jimmy Carter had a failed rescue attempt that crashed. A bunch of helicopters crashed in the desert. You know, some of the people were rescued, as we learned later from the Argo movie. But I mean, it just led this chain of events that got us up to 9/11 and even where we are today. That's my opinion. I don't know, Ron, what do you think?
Well, I was going to go with option C. The Middle East is destabilized because they won't accept our democracy. We've brought it to them how many times, and they just won't say okay.
I forgot.
Why do they hate freedom?
Why? Yes. Why?
No, I mean, I think that's a really good question. And, you know, I've gushed about this book before because it's a really good kind of synopsis, and it focuses mostly on Iran because it's called Inside Iran. It's by Medea Benjamin, but she really lays out just decade after decade everything we did, going as far back as the 1950s. So, you know, when you kind of see this systemic method of brutality, and what it comes down to is whenever we feel like our oil is being threatened, or whenever we feel like in some cases that they're just getting too powerful in their own right. Oh, they have all this culture, they have this movie industry. We don't like that because we just want to be able to exploit the resources when we feel like it. So we're going to mess around and we're going to, you know, install these puppets that are going to do what we say instead of the democratically elected leaders they have. You know, when you kind of see that, I mean, I would say the overall, you know, big answer to a question like that, what has led to such destabilization, I would say it's just decades and decades of the same type of oppression against people.
Yeah, because it's the same playbook. I mean, look, and going back to the, you know, getting rid of Mossadegh and putting in the Shah of Iran. So then we backed Saddam Hussein in the Iraq-Iran war in the 80s, right? Mm-hmm. So the CIA was propping up Saddam Hussein. We then, and then of course, he was a bad guy, you know, 30 years later or 20 some years later. And so it's just like, not even 10 years later, you know, we started sanctioning him when Saddam said, I'm going to go off of the petrodollar. Then literally Bill Clinton's first term, he was sanctioned and 500,000 Iraqi children died. So like everything it's all connected, our meddling in the Middle East. I mean, again, you know, we, in doing that and getting control of Iran, part of it was, we don't want them to sell their oil to anybody. We don't want them to sell them to Russia, even though Russia produces a lot of its own oil, or anybody like that. So, you know, we do those things, and then the Soviet Union, of course, invaded Afghanistan, and not that that was a good, but we helped stir a lot of that. And again, I'm not making excuses for Brezhnev and the Soviet Union authoritarian style of communism then. But again, even the same thing. So then we fund and back the Mujahideen to fight the Soviets. And then when the Soviets finally back out, we bail, and the Mujahideen is then heavily armed, and many of them then become the Taliban, and we just abandon that country. And then we have to go back there in 2000. Like it's just this litany of mistakes and errors, or maybe it's by design to keep the Middle East destabilized, so that we always have this enemy that we need to bomb and fund, and endless wars. I mean, we're coming up on year 9. This is the 19th year of the war in Afghanistan. And all of this stuff starts probably with the Mossadegh business, and like Medea in Medea's book, but we've done that in the whole region since the 50s.
Right.
So, I hope that answers the question. And also, too, I'm going to go back to this with Iran. They have tried, during the Bush administration, they were trying to back channel peace talks with the Bush administration, because they were like, we don't want you to do to us what you're doing to Iraq. Bush, nope, they're the axis of evil. There was a youth movement of like people who were like way more progressive, listening to Western music and wearing more Western clothing. And nope, we stifled that. And then which helps foster the fundamentalists. We actually encourage the fundamentalists to rise up, so we can go, oh, bad guy, there's a bad guy, there's a bad guy. And so many countries we have kind of back channeled asking for peace, and would gladly do it, because who wants this crazy American empire bombing the shit out of them and sanctioning them? I mean, we're still sanctioning Iran today during this pandemic. We've been sanctioning this whole pandemic, in addition to bombing 7 countries. Like, it's out of control. So yeah, that's our litany of terror in the Middle East. So tell us again, Ron, the name of that Medea Benjamin's book.
It's called Inside Iran.
Okay, read that. Inside Iran. Boom. Shave your knuckles for justice. Share and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.